Hi, this is Dr. Justin Marcagiani, and today's talk's going to be on what diet is best for you. So this is really important. People are like, oh, is it paleo? Is it GAPS? Is it body ecology? Is it zone? And there's just so many, slang terms out there for what diet is, the biggest catch-all or which one's the most trendiest. So first things first, we have to know, why do you eat what you eat? That's the first question. Right? Why do you eat what you eat? Once you understand this question, it doesn't matter what superlative, cool diet name you add to the list. So first thing, any good, healthy, sustainable diet has to include whole foods. So eating real whole foods. So real food is an important addition to a good diet. It is an absolute must. Also, we need foods that are nutrient dense. Nutrient density is really important. So what I mean by nutrient density, vitamins, right? Vitamin A, B, C, D, E, fat-soluble nutrients, minerals, all these things are really important. Also, we want the diet to be anti-inflammatory. We want it to feed our prostaglandin E1 and E3 pathways. These are anti-inflammatory. They help our body heal and build up faster than we break down. When we feed more of our arachidonic or prostaglandin E2 pathway, big fancy words, but all you have to know is one pathway is inflammation, one pathway is anti-inflammation. Typically, there's a decent balance. We want it to be a little bit more anti-inflammatory than pro-inflammation, just so our body's healing and we're not stressing out our adrenal glands. So again, anti-inflammatory is another important component. And this is really important. If you have adrenal fatigue or if you have chronic pain or any health issues, got to make sure your diet's anti-inflammatory. And most of the pro-inflammatory foods, guess where they're going to be? Packaged, refined vegetable oils, trans fats, excess sugar. All of these foods are going to be the real pro-inflammatory ones. Last but not least, foods that are low in toxins, right? Foods that are low in toxins. All right, toxins are bad for your body. They're bad for your liver. Where may you get these toxins from? Well, grains. Grains are loaded with fungus and mycotoxins. You may get it from certain foods that have extra phytic or oxalates or oxalic acids that bind up minerals. Not good for your body, right? You don't want to put anything in that's actually going to pull and take away from you. Also, refined sugar, surprisingly or not, it actually takes more energy to utilize the sugar than it does to avoid it. So essentially, when you take in that sugar, your Krebs cycle and your metabolic machinery uses B vitamins and minerals and magnesiums and nutrients to process it. So you actually, if it's got nothing coming in and it takes something to process, it's actually a net debt on your body, if you will. So again, we talked about macro and micronutrients. This is an important concept when we look at diet. So macro and micro. When we're looking at macro and micro, essentially that's proteins, carbs, carbohydrate, and essentially fats. Now these ratios are going to be dictated upon people's activity levels, how overweight you are. So there's so many different factors that could make someone lower carb, higher fat, moderate protein. People that have metabolic derangement, they are prone to insulin resistance. They may need to go lower on the carbs, higher on the fat, and moderate on the protein. People that are CrossFitters, they may be able to make their carbs 50 to 60% of their diet, but ideally, we're choosing sweet potatoes, yams, starchy tubers, anti-inflammatory sources, so the carbs are at least going to be the right glycemic. They're not going to make their blood sugar bounce, and they're going to be having good quality fats and proteins along with it. So again, people in these communities out there, someone does a low-carb paleo, and they just this was the best thing that ever happened to them, so they're like, everyone has to be on this diet. And that was me. I have a tendency towards low-carb paleo type of diet eating. But that worked great for me, but I understand that it may not be specific to my professional athlete or to my menopausal female patient or to my person that was pre-diabetic and now is out of that diabetic range. So it has to be individualized and customized. There are some constants though: real food, nutrient dense, anti-inflammatory, and low toxin. Those are the constants. The macronutrients, these can be tweaked. These can go up and down based upon people's activity levels. And again, how much can you cheat? That's really dependent upon how good you want to feel, right? We all know what happens when Superman gets exposed to kryptonite. Even a little bit, he's just like down for the count. So if you know there are certain foods that are your kryptonite, I mean, seriously, do you want to feel like crap for 1 to 2 days? It's up to you. Figure out how bad you feel. Maybe it's just you get a little gassy and bloaty for a little bit so you can cheat, maybe have a little bit here and then. I have an autoimmune thyroid condition. I never touch gluten to my lips ever. I just have a visualization of a little piece of my thyroid tissue burning up. And that's more than likely what's happening according to the literature. So it really depends. What's your kryptonite and how bad does it hurt you? And from there you can figure out where on the spectrum you should be. I mean, there are always cheat options that aren't going to cause all the inflammation and damage, but still give you that mouthfeel and satisfaction that you're looking for, because that's really what it is. Blood sugar stability. So we could be eating the right diet, but our meal timing can suck, frankly. We could get up in the morning, we could be under a whole bunch of stress and not eat our meal till 3-4 hours in. It may be the perfect nutrient-dense, anti-inflammatory, low-toxin meal, but because our timing isn't good, it can put more stress on our adrenals and our sympathetic nervous system. So make sure your blood sugar is balanced. If you're under a lot of stress, get your protein and your fat and your breakfast in that first 30 minutes to an hour. Set your alarm. Don't go more than 4 to 5 hours without eating. But on the same side, don't be a grazer. Don't eat every 1 to 2 hours either, because then you never let your body go into fat burning mode. So it's this constant tug of war we're having. We don't want to go too far and stress our body out, but we don't want to be a grazer and eat all the time and never really burn fat. And again, things like intermittent fasting, these things are great. Again, if you have adrenal fatigue, you're under stress, you have any thyroid symptoms or autoimmune conditions, I recommend get your body back into shape first, and then do your intermittent fasting on maybe a Saturday or Sunday where your stress level is much lower. I hope I gave you some great information here that you can start applying and using. If you're having any autoimmune conditions or any chronic illnesses or problems with your diet and customizing it to you, feel free and check out my information below so I can help. Feel free and subscribe to the channel for more great free information to come. Thanks. This is Dr. Justin signing off.